Yo, welcome back, welcome in, and bear down. And man, that's peaceful music. That's going to make you fall asleep. They had to change that because there's a copyright thing dealing with that. But Karl, you're not on stage here with me. What's going on? Are you in timeout, buddy?
You had to add me back, man. You're in
Hey,
control, brother.
how you doing, Karl?
Really good, man. How are you?
Good. Hey, I like to see a little bit of the chain link. There's some people from your chat. We're dual streaming today. So those who aren't aware of Karl's channel, oh, I didn't put it in the description. I told you I would. I'm sorry. I will add it to the description. If you don't know where Karl's channel is by now, get with the times, guys. Karl is flowing and going and doing his thing. Often on there. Who is Smi? Tell me his name again.
Nick.
Nick is Smi. I knew that. And he's
Nick
often
is recovering from becoming a brand new father. So
Ooh, I didn't
he's
know
essentially
this.
taken he had been taking a hiatus, but I'd say he's recovering, and we've got some consistency going finally, which is awesome. So
Nice. And you've got a lot of stuff going, usually working with Bear Ski on a lot of things, and then Bears Country Podcast. Obviously, behind the scenes there a lot, but man with the plan of the show. So appreciate your time, Karl. Karl's been coming on weekly. For those who don't know, this is episode 5. We're doing 11 of them. The whole point was leading up to the draft, having some cohesion, talking about different perspectives on different things. And it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun to have you here, Karl.
I totally agree. Thanks for having me. It's always a blast. And like I said, I'd do this with you offline, unrecorded, whatever you'd want. It's just fun talking football with you. But in my opinion, the fact that we get to do it with a live audience, with the special chat that you've grown, that you've fostered, so to speak, it's incredible stuff. A lot of fun, man.
Agreed. All you guys in the chat, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all you guys. All you guys are awesome. This Bears community is what makes this so much fun, and we are getting right to the exciting time of things. Major roster additions this week. More to come. The Bears seem to be the most active team so far this offseason, and it makes it really exciting for us to talk about. Makes it really exciting for Bears fans to get excited for the future. And I'm on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm about a 10 right now. I thought I wouldn't hit this until next week on Monday, and here we are.
Yeah, if I could toot my own horn real quick, I never in a million years thought that the Chiefs would part with Joe Thuney, just as essentially a cap casualty, right?
Okay,
But
pause real quick though. You are going to get crucified in my chat if you call him Thuney, because I've done that his whole career. It's one of those things. It's an aesthetic thing. I know he's Joe Thuney. His name is Thuney. I know that, but it's one of those things where I've seen his name before. Like you know who he is for years. He's a Pro Bowler for years. Everyone knows
he's
who
an
Joe
all-pro.
Thuney is. But you see it written out, Thuney, and I'm one of those guys where I am very aesthetic like that, and so I do it all the time with several players. You guys in this chat know that forever I could not pronounce Gervon's name. It was Gervon forever. So anyway, sorry, Karl. I'm not trying to crucify you, but you're going to get roasted.
Let's fix it.
Chat.
Let's fix it at the source. So this is Joe Thuney we're talking about?
It's Thuney, Joe Thuney.
All right. Well, when I see Mr. Thuney, I'll ask Mr. Thuney for a signature and see how far I get. See if he'll block me into oblivion.
We're gonna tell him to drop the H off his name because it's unnecessary. So.
Yeah, it's a new Thuney. Anyway, again, want to just toot my own horn. About this time, it was the Saturday show last week, right? I essentially proposed the idea of the Bears trading for the guard, who I can't think of, Trey Smith.
I remember that.
Never in a million years would I have thought that they would instead opt to part ways with their all-pro walk-in Hall of Famer. So just to piggyback off of your excitement, like, this is unprecedented. So absolutely very, very exciting.
I'm going to start a poll here because I don't think anybody saw that coming. Did you think it was even possible to trade for Joe Thuney? All right, there's the poll. We're supposed to do more polls in here. Karl's telling me I'm supposed to do more polls. So we're starting a poll. Did you think it was even possible for the Bears to trade for Joe Thuney? I didn't. I didn't see that on the radar at all. All the talk you heard was about Trey Smith. So that was the big. I mean, first one was Jonah Jackson. That was the first big move. So we had that move. I wasn't excited for the initial price. I wasn't excited at all. In fact, I came on immediately, and then even you and I chatting on Twitter. Karl and I go back and forth quite a bit. We're pretty active chatting in Twitter throughout our workday, and I was just like, dude, I like the player, I see the upside, but I don't see the $17 million. I can't do that $17 million. Then as soon as it came out that we're paying less, we'll go over the salary cap here in a little bit, guys. As soon as it came out that we were paying less, I'm all in on this. I love the idea of having 2 Pro Bowl guards. It's fantastic to me. So
It's unique as all heck, man. I was totally in agreement with you. Very first, 30 seconds of the trade, no thought at all. Adam Schefter says Bears inherit the entire 3-year, $51 million contract that Jonah Jackson signed last year. Okay, that's terrible. That price is not good. I was not happy with it. I was okay with it, after the fact, considering that there's reports on Adam Banks, I think that's his name, or
Aaron
Brooks. Aaron Banks, thank you, from the 49ers. He's going to end up getting between $18 and $20 million a year as well. And I've been firm on Tevin Jenkins essentially getting that much as well. So it was kind of an apples-to-apples comparison when you talk about Tevin Jenkins and Jonah Jackson, in my opinion. But it sounds like the actual true cap hit for Jonah Jackson in 2025 is going to be $9 million. That's going to be a lot cheaper than these guys are going to start making on Monday.
11.833 is what's officially reported now. So I reported initially that the base salary is 9. His bonuses and everything that lead up to that will make him $17.5 million. We won't see it till Monday when the trade. Well, it's actually Wednesday when the trade officially happens. But the Rams are officially eating most of his bonuses. The only bonuses that will take on are like the workout bonuses and the roster bonuses. So those things will make it add up to 11.83, but it's still a really, really good deal for a Pro Bowl caliber guard. And especially, have you heard all the stuff lately about Drew Dahlman? Have you heard about his connections to San Francisco? Have you heard that at all?
Yes,
So
San
Drew
Francisco, and there's one other team I think that is essentially, I forgot who it was, but essentially they're trying to drive up a bidding war for Drew Dahlman. And at this point, I'd say it's deserved.
I'm going to jump right to this screen. We have a lot of stuff to share with you guys, and don't worry about the PFF numbers on the side, 82.2, 68.8, 73.5, 70.2. I'm just trying to show there's some things we were showing with that, but on the bottom right there, your center options, those are kind of the best centers. But Drew Dahlman is connected. His dad played professional ball for the 49ers. His sister lives in San Francisco. So there's a lot of ties there. And the rumors on Twitter and everywhere else is that the Bears are going to push hard. They're going to open up the checkbook. They're going to overpay for Drew Dahlman because that's the final piece to this offensive line. Then we'll have a set offensive line that feels established, give Caleb the best opportunity and chance to be able to show what he can do, give him a real opportunity. The other problem with that is it's a free agent. You choose where you go. I mean, you open up a checkbook, that's fine. San Francisco can open up their checkbook too. And at the end of the day, Drew Dahlman gets to choose where he goes. He gets to pick which team he goes to. So there's more than one option. Drew Dahlman's an option. He's the best option, according to everyone. And I can see the high upside because the run blocking, and that's something I was going to show on this, and we'll get to it in a minute. The run blocking is the most elite in all of football. In fact, I wish I could make this bigger. I can't make that spot bigger, but he's the best run blocking center. I mean, well, Creed Humphrey's pretty freaking phenomenal too. I mean, there's no better centers than Creed Humphrey, or and what's his name, Frank Ragnow. Those are the top two, and then behind them, it's everybody else. But Drew Dahlman to me, and I've said this on this channel before. I've kind of given my analysis after watching hours and hours of tape of him. Great run blocker. I mean, great athleticism. He's built like a freaking machine. I like Drew Dahlman. The problem is in his pass pro, he bends at the hips instead of the knees. So his base, either he needs to get stronger or he needs to refine his technique. Now, if the Bears look at him and they see the first 4 years of his career and they analyze him and say, you know what, with our offensive line coaches, we see the problem. We can see where he's bending, and then he lunges forward or he gets out of set and people can yank and pull on him and get him out of position, get past him. His pass pro is pretty darn close to Coleman Shelton. For those of you who don't like Coleman Shelton, it's about identical with Drew Dahlman. The thing is, Drew Dahlman is slightly bigger, not much, slightly bigger, but way more muscular and younger. So I think there's a lot more opportunity to work with him, to be able to develop him. So if the Bears see that and they love him, absolutely take him, have the offensive line coach work with him, say, you know what, we got to change your base. We got to change your stance. We're going to work on this all offseason. And then you're putting in between Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney. So having Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney is going to help that center no matter what. Even if it's Ryan Kelly, if it's Coleman Shelton, if it's Evan Brown, the top four. I mean, there's really good options here. And then on top of that, people make it sound like this is a terrible center class. I think any of those top centers you have in this draft class, Jared Wilson, even if you want to go Gray Zabel, who's not my favorite, Gray Zabel, even Jake Majors from Texas. If we take one of these in the late third or in the fourth round, we don't have a fourth round, right? I realize that if we trade back and build more draft capital, if we take one of them later, anybody between Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney would be a major opportunity for them to thrive. And it might be a good time to take a rookie on a 4-year rookie contract to pair up with Caleb. Pending, they're going to have to do their due diligence. They're going to have to, find the right one that they feel like will be the next Zach Frazier, who, by the way, in this draft class is, and we can go to that. We can cut away and we can just go all over the place on this episode because that's kind of where we're talking about. Karl and I, before the episode, we're going to change things up here. Jared Wilson is the closest thing to Zach Frazier this year. The pressure he doesn't allow. So anyway, I'm rambling. What are your thoughts on all that, Karl? With this team, what we've constructed so far, needing a center now, what are your thoughts?
Lots to unpack. So let's start with Drew Dahlman.
Yeah.
Definitely pass pro, not the best. Run blocking, very good. But what I'm hearing with Drew Dahlman is that you have to put him in the proper scheme. And I believe that scheme would be a zone blocking scheme. And that's why he's also linked to the 49ers, because that's what the 49ers like to do. And all reports would indicate that he would be the perfect center for Kyle Shanahan's mastermind as far as their run game. So what I wanted to ask you was, do you know, because I know that Ben Johnson, his run game with that fantastic offensive line, second best offensive line in the entire NFL behind Philadelphia, I think that the Lions were able to run whatever the hell they wanted to as far as a run game, right?
Yes.
Do you think that if the Bears were to not only throw the entire kitchen sink financially at Drew Dahlman, do you think a pitch to them would be, hey, look, this is a brand new scheme and we're flexible. We would love to implement you as our spearhead in a zone blocking scheme. Do you think that they would kind of conform to that and want to appease his skill set? Or do you think they'd go after him and say, hey, we love you, you're a good player. Are you interested in just, doing whatever we tell you?
Well, first of all, I don't think Drew Dahlman doesn't fit our scheme, because any run-heavy team that's going to be doing a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap stuff, I think he would be fine in that.
Well, let me pause you right there. You referred to something as our scheme. I don't even know if our scheme has been finalized.
Right. And he said he's going to throw the playbook out. He's going to create his own playbook.
Exactly.
And it's going to be different because Caleb is different than Jared Goff. I mean, just plain and simple.
Let me stop you there, too. I mean, those comments he had about Jared Goff, those were not negative comments. I hate the Lions fans that are mad at Ben Johnson, and they say, oh, well, Ben Johnson, if you're so mad, why did you lose a playoff game for us? No, Jared Goff got a concussion and had a crap game, man. So those Lions fans got to calm down.
They kind of were negative towards...
I disagree.
They kind of.
I
don't
just
think
disagree.
He was being mean, but he was accentuating how excited he was to work with Caleb. But he wasn't doing anything to protect Jared Goff. He wasn't trying to be sensitive, crybaby, protect Jared Goff. And in the same regard, you just left Jared Goff. Sometimes there is that tendency to be a little overprotective of it. So I think it was perfect. It feeds into the rivalry. It makes it fun and exciting for the fans. It makes Lions fans hate him. It makes us love him even more. So I love it.
I don't disagree there. I absolutely adore that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think it was a negative to Jared Goff. And I don't even think it was an overly positive to Caleb Williams. I think he's just laying it out as it is. And what you are saying is fact. Jared Goff, Caleb Williams throwing outside the pocket on the move, that's apples to oranges, man. Once you get Jared Goff off the spot, I mean, he's bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I don't think Drew Dahlman is a must. So let me just pull this up. We're going to zoom this in. This is the salary cap now. For those who didn't catch my little, I don't know what we call them, video. I don't know, 16-minute video earlier. I did include in there the last 6 minutes where we stand on the salary cap now after the most recent additions. And I think some people are surprised when they see these types of things. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4 needs on the offensive line still. We have still 1, 2, 3, 4 needs on the defensive line now. Only 2 of those are starters. and really one of those is a starter. So this, shouldn't be as expensive, but you want to have good quality help. I would hope that most of our depth would be rookies so that we can develop behind these studs that we have now. And then here, who knows what's going to happen if we're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. I mean, that's the big rumor right now. And I even threw something out on Twitter, a proposal of it that I think is, we'll get to that in a minute. But we need help at nose tackle. Then we need more depth. So all in all, with where we stand right now, we've got 37 of our 53, and we're down to 41 million in cap space, 41 million, 249, 978. And we know Ryan Poles likes to run with a little bit of buffer. Last year at the end of the year, he had 5 million buffer. He usually likes to have more close to 8 or 9 buffer as we start the season, so he has some flexibility. So if you're taking that into consideration, we're really sitting at probably 30 to 35 spendable left in the salary cap. So you got 16 places left. Well, because this doesn't include the rookies. The rookies are built in there. So say the 5 to 7 rookies takes it to 44, and then a long snapper is going to be cheap. So it will work. I'm not saying we're in trouble. I'm saying this is where we stand. Is it really the most feasible thing to overpay Drew Dahlman if he's not the perfect fit? Like you're saying, if he's not the perfect fit, do we really need to overpay him when we could probably take, I know a lot of people hate this, Coleman Shelton, but then draft the highest rookie you want and expect to start the rookie. And if he goes through rookie struggles, like as we know, John Michael Schmitz was a huge prospect a couple of years ago and then didn't pan out the first year. Then we got a backup plan of Coleman Shelton, who should look good between Jackson and Thuney. What are your thoughts on that?
Why not both?
That's what
I think that legitimately, yeah, because I legitimately think at the end of the day, you actually are saving money on your guards. Whatever these numbers are, you said it's 11.5 cap hit for Jonah Jackson.
Yeah,
I have a bad name for Jonah Jackson, by the way. I cannot say it on the stream, but he went to Ohio State, so his last name is pronounced differently in my playbook.
That's his cap hit this year, 11.8333.
And what's Joe Thuney at? Joe
16
Thuney.
million flat. That's just
it's Thuney. I'm sorry. 16?
Yeah, 16 million flat.
Okay. Well, when we have our conversation, when we have our next conversation next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Tevin Jenkins has signed an average annual value of roughly $20 million a year.
Hey, it sounds like it's headed that way, man.
Don't tell me. I would love for you to tell me that I'm the one who said that, because I've been on that for months. But he's going to get a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you're saving on your guards, overpaying for Drew Dahlman is not an overinvestment, in my opinion.
And by the way, this extension is rumored right now. It sounds like the Bears, but they can't do that until the new league year, because the new league year is when the trade will actually.
I would like to bring something up too. I'll put the egg on my face. These are accepted trades that have not gone through.
They can't.
Both of these trades are not finalized. They could fall through. Again, another thing where I don't want to be the one who told you that. If they both fall through, we are screwed.
Quit trying to throw your little voodoo out there and make things negative, because that's not happening, buddy.
I know. They're going to go through. Yesterday, like, I don't know, an hour after the Joe Thuney, I'm struggling with that. Joe Thuney, once that news has came through, the Bears tweeted out the little chef emoji.
Yeah. So just with this, though, what I was going at with the extension rumored, they can throw more money. Say they throw $22 million a year at him over the next 3 years, and we take him till the 28th season. We can defer some of this year and still pay him and have some of that deferred if we want to bring in more cap space too. There are options when we sign this contract.
That all is dependent, in my opinion, on Drew Dahlman and who. If you can make 2 splash moves, technically you're seeing it with the Texans. You will see it with the Commanders. You've got a good quarterback who's on a rookie salary. This is the time to do these types of things, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. We've got to shore up. Let's go back here. We've got to shore up the offensive line to be able to make this. I mean, he talked about that extensively. And the other thing that Ben Johnson said is he needs what are the exact words? Anybody in the chat remember the exact words he used on a center? He's got to have a mean center or an aggressive, something that he was talking about, how his center needs to be an absolute beast. Anybody, do you remember that conversation?
Not necessarily, but even without knowing what you're saying, Ben Johnson said something along these lines?
Yeah, Ben Johnson at the Combine was being interviewed several places on Radio Row, And he
Yeah.
basically said the offense needs to crux on the center. He needs a mean, nasty center. We know he had, Frank Ragnow in Detroit, so he loves that.
Yeah. So
And
that's my thought process here is that I don't know if everyone wants a rookie center to grow with Caleb Williams. And while I
everyone
want
does.
the majority of people that I've heard from, talked
I think
to,
everyone wants the Bears to take Drew Dahlman.
well,
Everything
yeah,
I'm seeing
but
is
that's my point here is that I don't necessarily want to take a Jared Wilson with a 39th overall pick just because we'll finally have a good center. Let's get an established one and have him pair with Caleb Williams and get that ship right. And then if Drew Dahlman wants to walk on his third contract or retire or whatever happens, we've got. I would hope it's a 4-year deal for Drew Dahlman. We'll have 4 years to acquire the backup in that time frame, and it doesn't have to be this year because I've actually come to a different conclusion about what the Bears are going to do with their first round pick, top of the draft, and just how they finish out constructing this offensive line. I think that these moves are indicating a potential draft pick of a tackle at 10. As silly as that might seem to you,
not silly.
I'm the exact opposite of the Ashton Genty crew, right? Because my slogan with Joe Thuney is going to be, he's here for a good time, not a long time. So you're going to have to get a guard to replace him sooner rather than you think. It
100%.
might have to be in the next 2 years. And that guard might end up being Karan Amagaji, depending on how this regime views him, because he's got the traits. I've heard people projecting him as tackle. And if Braxton Jones isn't healthy, Joe Thuney can technically play left tackle in a pinch. He literally did it for the Chiefs in the playoffs. But I would not be surprised if they went Josh Simmons at left tackle now. It just feels like that's the route that this is heading.
I'm not shocked by that at all. Either I know all offseason people were bagging on Braxton Jones, and I was kind of the one out there defending Braxton Jones and saying, look, he's the 14th ranked left tackle in the league last year. He's not bad. He's on a rookie contract. I get that. They've done all this to beef up the offensive line. One of the things that I've been starting to realize is with these Will Campbell things, maybe they're going to use him as a backup to Joe Thuney or Jonah Jackson, or there's a good possibility if they go heavy on offensive line. Say somebody earlier said they like Ariante Ursary. I really like Ariante Ursary. He'd be the perfect fit to be able to develop behind Thuney. If Braxton Jones is injured or needs help, he is a natural left tackle. You can put him out at left tackle, see how he does. If he excels, just like Jonah Jackson last year in LA, they signed him this huge contract. When it didn't work out, when he came back and Steve Avila did so freaking well that they couldn't start Jonah Jackson again.
Yeah,
now it's like we need to trade him.
That's a really good point because it's not that I think Jonah Jackson wasn't good enough for the Rams, and I'm very keen onto what Sean McVay does because again, if you remember, we're talking about a new Bears head coach. I said, why not just trade for Sean McVay? If there's a way to get him, let's do it. I don't care what it costs. Obviously, that's not going to happen anytime soon now, especially with the way that they handled their team. Stafford's coming back on a restructure, all these good things. But if Sean McVay was to say that Jonah Jackson isn't good enough, I'd be very scared of that. But I do think it's the opposite. I think that their draft picks, they hit on Steve Avila as a center. They said, okay, Jonah Jackson, come in, let's play right guard just to get some tape out there. They were nice to him. They let him audition. But they realized the money that they're paying him, it's not worth it. And essentially the Bears let him off the hook. But in return, they get a Pro Bowl guard. So I think it was a win-win for both sides, by the way.
So if the Bears go that route, they go heavy on the offensive line for all these backups. Say Braxton Jones gets injured in the season or he's not ready to go, and they throw in Ariante Ursary, or they throw in Josh Simmons, or they throw in someone at left tackle, and they do really well. All of a sudden, you're sitting here at the trade deadline. You've still got Karan Amagaji developing, but Josh Simmons has absolutely killed it so far. Braxton Jones becomes a trade deadline option. It's something that we can do on the last year.
Now, I would go the opposite route. I think that what you're seeing is not that Ben Johnson requires an offensive line. He just wants one. And he's setting the foundation with having this great veteran leadership. Joe Thuney's literally a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a fantastic leader. I've got a question for you regarding Thuney as well, but we'll hold on to that for a second. But as far as Josh Simmons, I feel like this is a really good environment to take a Josh Simmons and just have him redshirt because he's damaged goods. I've got a research project I'm working on. I don't know if we should be taking a guy who tore his ACL in college, but he's young. The film is suggesting that he's moving just fine. And again, with these combine medicals, they'll have the best up-to-date information the world has ever seen on someone who is hurt or not. If he passes the medicals, again, I would select Josh Simmons and just redshirt him at this point.
Not just that, when they come to Hallis Hall for the top 30 visit, I'd be shocked if Josh Simmons doesn't get a top 30 visit because they do their own medical there at Hallis Hall as well. They'll have their own guy, not the combine guy, which the guys at the combine, they're some of the best medicals you'll ever get, period. Like that's one of the
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yep.
But they'll have their own at Hallis Hall as well that can say, okay, we saw this at the combine. Maybe something we're worried about. Come do this independent analysis. Let us know. Steve
Rogers, I hear you, man. I know, but it's just that's what this is shaping up. It's like the entire offseason we were clamoring, please fix the offensive line. Please fix the offensive line. I'm seeing Ben Johnson not only want to fix the offensive line for 2025, I want him to, I'm seeing him rather wanting to fix it for his entire tenure as a head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Well, I don't know if I agree that it's shaping up to be an offensive player, period. I think it's going to be a trench player.
It should be BPA, yes, with trenches in mind, yes.
Because we still have 4 spots here on the offensive line, and then you look at the defensive line, we also have, 4 spots here on the defensive line we need to fill. So
yeah,
and starters, we still have I mean, if you're going to take 10th overall player, wouldn't you think it would be a starter you want to take on the 10th overall? We still need a nose tackle.
It would be. It definitely would be a starter. It just wouldn't be in 2025. Could you please put up Reese Reed's comment? Because that's where my brain is at.
Sign Zeitler and move Jackson.
Yeah, I will crown Adam Mason as the leader in the clubhouse regarding the Zeitler to Chicago. It makes too much goddamn sense, right? So when I saw a picture of Jonah Jackson being traded to the Chicago Bears, he was snapping a football. He started the 2024 season for the Rams at center. I think that he could be your center. But I also think that plan A for the Chicago Bears is probably going to be Drew Dahlman.
Well, to be fair to you, Karl, he came back. So what happened with Jonah Jackson was he got injured preseason. Then he played to start the season, got injured again, same injury on week 2.
His shoulder,
out,
right?
Yeah, shoulder out for an extended period of time. And then at week 10, he came back and they put him at center because Steve Avila played so freaking well they couldn't replace Steve Avila. Put him at center, and he just did not play well. So I don't see center being where he really played well. The last game of the season was at right guard, and that's where I see us placing him as at right guard. I mean, his game at right guard at the end of the season, I get it's the last game of the season. There's a lot of variables that go into that. The Rams were playing that last game of the season, so it mattered for him. So it was he's played all of them before. So, but he's primarily been a left guard, but he played right guard at the end of the season. We're not moving Thuney. I don't see any way that he's not going to be the right guard.
And not to say Thuney is incapable of moving to right guard, but it'd be stupid. Yeah. I think now is a good question, or a good time for the question that I had for you, Adam. And I'm going to ask this. I'll create a poll in my chat, and I implore you to do the same if you'd like.
Oh, right. We have a poll going right now. Let me hear you check on that. Sorry.
Sure.
So the poll was: would you rather have Drew Dahlman, a rookie, or both? And it looks like about 50% are saying both, and 33% are saying Drew Dahlman, 19% are saying rookie. So,
okay. So, simple question for you and everyone who's listening to my voice in the chat. Right now, on March 6th, 2025, is Joe Thuney the best player on the Chicago Bears? I say yes.
Theoretically, from last year and career production, yes, but potential-wise,
no. That's not the question. Just right now, in a vacuum, we're playing the Super Bowl. Later today is the Super Bowl. Is the best player in the Chicago Bears Joe Thuney? I think it is.
What about Jalen Johnson? What about?
Yeah, I know it's a good question. I unfortunately don't think that Jalen Johnson is the best corner in the NFL.
What about DJ? I mean, there's a lot of crap from this.
DJ Moore is not the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Joe Thuney is not the best guard in the NFL.
He's definitely top 3, left or right side. I think so.
Yeah, there's more wide receivers, so let's say DJ Moore.
But I mean, the difference between DJ Moore and Jamar Chase, there's a big gap there, in my opinion. And I love DJ Moore. I think he's an alpha number 1 wide receiver. But Joe Thuney, I think he's top 3 guard, if not the best guard in the entire NFL, left or right side.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
best player on the Chicago Bears.
Who's more valuable on this team, Joe Thuney or your premise was this team?
No value. Best player.
On this team is what you said. So is Joe
Chicago
Thuney
Bears
the best player on this team, or is DJ Moore the best player? Is he more about which one's more valuable?
No, it's not a value question. I mean, just best player.
You have to take that into consideration, Karl.
No. Just from a play, like I said, we're playing the Super Bowl later today. It's 6:33 p.m. Central. We're playing the Super Bowl at 7 p.m. Central. Just best player. There is no tomorrow.
Well, look, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take Antmus's out. Well, as of now, he's not officially a Bear yet, so
understood. So you got me there, but let's assume I don't jinx it for everyone, and Joe Thuney does end up a member of the Chicago Bears. So I guess let's call it the minute before anyone is signed in free agency, because I don't know who we're going to get in free
agency. I'll take this avenue for you, because this is where you're going. Who has the best potential, the best opportunity as of today with their career to be a Hall of Famer? Joe Thuney. He'd be number one.
Sure, but this is not about potential, right? Because if Joe Thuney didn't age, if he was the ageless wonder and he was in a vacuum, regardless of his contract, Joe Thuney's like a top 10 pick, in my opinion.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
He's
Joe
32
Thuney,
years old.
If someone's going to make this the Hall of Fame today from the Bears, it would be Joe Thuney.
Again, just best player at their position, I guess. Not positional value, but just representative of what they are, right? It doesn't matter if a wide receiver you think is more valuable than an offensive lineman, right? Just for what they are, ranking in their position.
Do you realize how high Darnell Wright ranks as a right tackle?
Well, he's a rookie, and I can promise you that
he's in his third year.
A young player is what I mean, on a rookie contract.
On a rookie contract, okay.
Darnell Wright is not as good as Penei Sewell, and he is not as good as Lane Johnson at right tackle. That can change.
Those are the only two ahead of him.
I wouldn't say only. I haven't took a deep dive on this, but again, just from
there's a reason Ben Johnson pointed out Darnell Wright being very similar to Penei
I'm
Sewell.
not shitting on Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright has the third highest graded run blocking grade, and there's a reason. You watch him on tape, he's a freaking bull. Darnell Wright is going to be a cornerstone to this team for years to come with the way, especially the way, and this is something we were going to get into, so I'm going to go back here.
NJ has the strongest argument. Jalen Johnson is a top 3 cornerback in the NFL. But if Jalen Johnson has one guy who's for sure better than him, being Patrick Surtain, who literally is your defensive player of the year, I don't know if there's a guard who's out and outright better than Joe Thuney.
I can understand where you're coming from. Why is this not changing? Is this changing on the screen for everybody else? There we go.
So now I can see it. Yeah, you got it. So now you're showing the run block for Jonah Jackson.
No, it's not. This is not working properly. Something's funky with this. Sorry, guys. I wanted to show how much Ben Johnson loves the run blocking with his schemes and why Darnell Wright's so important. See if we can just remove this whole thing from the studio. Try to bring it back.
Seems like a good idea.
Studio. Stop sharing.
David Galvez is asking, is that James Woods? I don't know who that is. It's not me. Tony Moy says Thuney might be a Hall of Famer. No, he is. He already has a bust. Joe Thuney already has a bust in the Hall of Fame for him waiting.
Joe Thuney will be a Hall of Famer for sure. Yeah, this thing is not working.
Oh, boy.
Dang it. Let's see if we can bring it up a different way. So, my point is going to be, we don't have to have the graphics for it. We can talk about it. So, Ben Johnson, when he got to Detroit, their offensive line was crap. Now, it's not all Ben Johnson that has fixed it, because he was the passing game coordinator 2021, tight ends coach before that, 2020 to 2021. Then he became the offensive coordinator 2022 through 2024. So he was 3 years the offensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach for us. Okay. So he's not the one that was primarily responsible of fixing the run game. In fact, let me just try to save this file here. Here, watch this. We can do this. Sorry, guys. We're on the fly trying to fix this. Save as. We're going to put it right there in March folder. We're going to put just a JPEG. We're going to make a file out of this. We're going to put line.
NJ's got a good comment here saying Ben Johnson runs 12 package more than anyone. 2 good tight ends would be pretty important. I know a certain tight end that just got released from the Jaguars, even though he's essentially a receiver.
Okay, here we go. This is pulling up now. Okay, so top there you see Ben Johnson's work with the Lions. On the right here you see their year, you see their record, and you see their run blocking grade. Now, they were fine when he first got there. It's not his fault, all this stuff. but they went downhill in their run blocking. They overhauled their offensive line. Many things they did, including Kevin Zeitler, who's one of the top run blocking guards in the entire league. So I don't think it's beyond us to still get him. I don't think that's the path we're going. I think all the rumors are usually smoke usually leads to fire, and we're probably going after Drew Dahlman. Whether he chooses us is another thing. But this last year, the overall grades. Let me move Atmos off. Sorry, I forget when comments are still there. And down below, guys, don't ignore this down here. See right below me. Oh, that's. Thank you to all the Bear Down members: Nick Sartini, Carol Montgomery, Longhorn Jeff, Sam L, Wally Bismarck. Yes, I'm going to announce all of you guys because you guys are helping support the channel.
Levante Rogers is a great guy. We interact with him on Twitter all the time.
Robert J. Stenzel, Andrew Vin, 23, Blue Bay, Burns DK, Redeemed Gentile 717, Midway Monster, Victor Perez, Mike O'Connor, Richard Craddock, Dave S., Relentless Mikey, Dark to Light, Max Cardenia, Pator. Hey, Pator, I owe you a mini helmet. You haven't gotten back to me. You won that raffle for that. So I tried to reach out on here. So if you're watching, get to me. Danny W., G Mike, Creighton Wilfong, Bob Billings, John Kaiser, Justin Hill, Tonez, Jonathan Barkey, Sean O'Hillinger, Levante Rogers. So anyways, sorry. Took a minute there. We took 40 seconds out to appreciate those that are supporting the channel. So thank you for those of you supporting the channel. So back to this. Look at the bottom there, 2022. This is when their resurgence started coming. See how they went from 20th run blocking, and that's over way over in the corner, way over there. You guys see on the bottom right of the screen. 68.7 run blocking grade. They were 9th in the league on the year they started coming up. Then they became the second highest and the third highest. Even though they were third highest, they had an even better run blocking grade last year. And you can say that's Jahmyr Gibbs. You can say it's David Montgomery, but they overhauled the line too, and they have some of the best run blockers in the entire league. So with what I was showing you guys on the other one, let's see if I can bring that back up here now, see if it'll work. With the line, I was trying to show here, this right here. These are the grades of these guys. So Darnell Wright, 82.2. He's the third highest ranked right tackle in the league in the run blocking department. Jonah Jackson, 68.8, was the 14th highest ranked left guard. Obviously, I think we're moving into right guard. That's speculation. But Joe Thuney was the 8th highest ranked left guard at 73.5. And Braxton Jones seems to be kind of the weak link there at 70.2, of 19th ranked left tackle, even though I think his run blocking is actually pretty decent, but we need to change some scheme up. We need to fix some things. Obviously, everyone was unhappy with the run game last year, but these are things that Ben Johnson can be going through as he discusses these things and as he tries to decide what that path is. And, maybe, sorry, this is a little ahead there. And this is not, the video file is not working very good today. So there we go. As we try to decide Drew Dahlman, Ryan Kelly, Coleman Shelton, Evan Brown, as the Bears try to make that decision on center, it sounds like they're all in on Drew Dahlman. That run blocking might be a key to that because he's 79.8 run blocking grade. Darn it. Let's stay. There we go. All right. I have been ignoring the chat. I apologize, guys. Anything you want to interject there, Karl, feel more than free.
Yeah, absolutely. Minister Charles Johnson, go blue is right, man. Go blue forever, man. How's it going, sir?
Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, I'm good with that. You guys are ready for free agency. Karl, should we shift gears here? We're talking about the centers. We're talking about left guard, center, right guard. I did have on here some really good options that the Bears might, if we go with the same path of high grades and run blocking and pass blocking, I did have this as an option. These are some of the highest. Hold on. Present, image file, March. Where'd it go?
Yeah, Sales Transformation Institute, he asks, why don't they pay Tevin? He was a Pro Bowler. Well, so was Jonah Jackson. And Jonah Jackson's going to cost half as much, man. We'll have a conversation again, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Thursday. We're going to be talking about how, wow, Karl, you were right. Tevin Jenkins, average annual value, $18 million. That's what we're looking at, guys. Yeah, Jay, you got it, Brinko. Injury prone, that's what it is. Very disappointing to Evan Jenkins in that regard, man.
This is not just showing up, man.
Pick up DK Metcalf. I'm sorry, Aaron Alvarez. No shot. There's just no shot.
We only have 41 million left in salary cap. So okay, Karl, we're gonna shift gears since I can't find that one.
Fine by me, Adam.
Just some of the options that we had there for the top ones left. There are some good options. In the draft, there's some good options. Man, I wish I could find it. Sorry, guys. We're just gonna have to shift gears and move on from that. Remove this from the screen.
Man, you're using the wrong image file for Josh Blackwell.
Which file should I be using?
Here, if you want to flash the one that I created for my, let me see if I can find it. Wait a second. If I present and I upload a file, you're saying I'm allowed? Oh yeah, image file. Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Mr. StreamYard. That's the correct image file right there. Right in the middle there, buddy.
With the crown on his head.
That's the correct image, bro. I'm trying to tell you. Josh Blackwell is worth his weight in gold. I freaked out when I saw that he was being re-signed. And I'm sure you say, oh, special teamers, back up $6 million over 2 years. What's the point? He's a key part to this special teams, in my opinion, man. God forbid Spidey, anyone else in that secondary gets hurt, Josh Blackwell will be able to step in, and he's just a fantastic piece. I am ecstatic.
There's a very good chance this can get demonetized because of this, but it did on my video earlier. I had to cut it out later, but we got to show this.
Punted away, cleaner operation this time. Trying to.
We'll make it small so I don't get in trouble.
It's 7 seconds. 7 seconds, Adam. You got to get these clips. If you want audio or video clips, I can help you out. It's 7 seconds.
It's Blackwell. A little bit
It's
of
been really scatterish, anyways. Like the video.
in the special teams.
Turn that off. Turn it off.
Maybe it's the internet connection. Where'd you go, Karl?
You're hiding me, man. You're hiding me. I love Foster. Yeah, Foster cover says Karl is in love. Yeah, maybe with Foster.
Yeah, Josh Blackwell is no doubt one of the best additions of the roster. Having him come back and being a part of this team.
Hell, I love the Daniel Hardy bring back as well. Like our special teams is pretty much back intact. We re-signed Amen Ogbamiga. I'm very upset about Jack Sanborn. I want to be very clear on that. It sounds like he's not coming back, and I'm very upset at that. There's a chance he could say, "What are my options?" Bears will match it, whatever. But I don't know. It doesn't sound.
See how that is turned from orange, which is restricted free agent, to green. He's an unrestricted free agent because
he wasn't tenured. I don't know what the term is.
You're overlooking Swayze Bozeman too, man.
No,
Swayze
I know
Bozeman.
That's probably the replacement.
I don't know if he's going to start be the rotational guy to come in as the weak side line, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think we still draft someone, but Swayze Bozeman on special teams is really freaking good. He was a pivotal part of the Chiefs, and that's he did a really good job for them. His grades were off the chart.
I'm happy that he's a part of the team. Nothing else to say there. As far as drafting a linebacker, I just don't want it to be a serious investment, but. As far as we talk about the cap, right? Like the Tremaine Edmonds contract is probably the worst in the Chicago Bears right now. And that's not to say that Tremaine Edmonds isn't a good player for the Bears, but I don't think that Tremaine Edmonds is on this football team in 2026. So you got to find a replacement.
I don't hate that comment at all. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens on Monday. Like it's just going to be like even a wide receiver. Say we take Rondale Moore. Say. At defensive end,
I'm excited for our conversation on Thursday because by Thursday is when the Bears are going to be tweeting out pictures of guys signing the actual contract like they did today with Josh Blackwell and Ogbamiga. You're going to hear, I'm predicting one catastrophe from Monday to Wednesday.
What do you mean by catastrophe?
Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr has signed with the Dallas Cowboys come Wednesday. Oh my God, Anthony Barr got cold feet. He is returning to the Vikings. There's going to be one catastrophe, and I pray to God it isn't the Bears. I pray to God I'll spend the rest of my day during the BCP live stream later today praying that it's not Joe Thuney. But something always goes.
He doesn't have an option in the matter. The Chiefs have traded him. He doesn't have a choice. He's ours.
Well, there's still a delicate situation here with Trey Smith. Trey Smith could have said one thing and said, you know what? These Joe Schmoes are getting $20 million and 90% of it's fully guaranteed. This 25.
You know what, Karl? Karl, I love you. I'm gonna pull a BCP and pull you off stage. You've got a little too much negativity going on here, brother.
No, it's nerves.
You're
It's
gonna-
nerves. It's not negativity. It's nerves. I promise.
You're manifesting. You're the person I couldn't be around in 2016 as the Bears were making their. I'm sorry, as the Cubs were making their run to the World Series. I had all these friends that were just like, "It always happens to us. Something always goes wrong. There's going to be a new Bartman. Something's going to happen." I was like, "Dude,
Yeah.
go somewhere else."
That was fantastic timing by you, by the way. But again, I mean, nothing's final until the fat lady sings, right? So I haven't heard that fat lady. I pray to God I do, but we shall see.
Look at him on my graphic here. Joe Thuney is there. The fat lady has sung. So you shut your mouth and accept.
Oh,
the
now
fact
we're
that we
now
got-
now we're reverse engineering this. Got it. If Joe Thuney doesn't end up on the member of the Chicago Bears, it's Adam Mason's fault. Got it.
He's
You
on-
will be hearing from my lawyer. Just like
He's
that.
on the Bears. Just accept it. Accept good things can happen to us.
Oh,
Carl.
I've
We
I've
can
already
have
accepted
nice
it.
things.
Reverse engineer. I've already accepted it. I'm talking about the best player on the Chicago Bears already, and he is.
All right, I'm gonna hit this one right here.
Oh my God, I
Carl-
love Prometheus.
Do you want to hit this one? Steve Rogers, we need an upgrade for Big Bill. Do you want to hit that one before I touch it?
A quality rotational backup to Andrew Billings will show you that Andrew Billings playing 50% of the snaps when healthy will prove that he's a fringe Pro Bowler. That's how good Big Bill is, man. Let's not get it twisted.
Was Big Bill healthy the year before?
He was a great player for the Bears in 2023, and in 2024 the defense was doing okay. And when he went down, man, it went downhill fast. That's a funny name you got there, Deron Payne. It's Jonathan Allen is the guy who's going to end up getting cut.
I was
isn't it?
just looking at different players. Don't sit here and read the tea leaves. All right, so
always reading them.
here's Big Bill, good pass rusher. Look at how terrible that run defense is. I don't know if I can handle that at my nose tackle, where their primary responsibility is to be a run defender. You good with that?
Does that mean that Gervon Dexter was doing his job properly? There's always a way to spin it, Adam. Fact of the matter, Andrew Billings, great player for the Chicago Bears. No,
I don't say he's not a great
P-
player. You want a beast at a nose
PFF?
tackle. You want someone who's going to absolutely slaughter things. His run defense is 61. That's a lot better than 50. All right, let's do this. Watch this. I'm going to show you guys this. This is stuff that you guys you clamor for this stuff. So by position, let's go at let's go run defense. We're going to go our defensive interior only. We're going to make it so it's filter out some of the guys that only have a few snaps here or there. So we're not having everybody, because you have issues when you have that. Let's look at the Bears only for a second. Andrew Billings, 50 even. Now we can take that away. Let's see where he ranked in the league. 50 even. Where does that rank? As your starting nose tackle.
But context matters. Some of these
Down here at
situations, they
89.
just got
You want
better
the 89th
talent
best
around them.
run defender being your starting nose tackle when all these other teams have these studs and these beasts for them. You want the 89th ranked one? Is that what you want?
This context matters, Adam.
It does matter.
Context matters. What am I seeing here? Ah, yes. Tennessee, Sebastian Joseph Day, Tavondre Sweat. Well, they had Jeffrey Simmons. That's the guy next to him. There's always a story to it, man. And Jeffrey Simmons is right there, too. All
What
that
are you trying
I'm
to say by
seeing...
that? You see who's a free agent, though, who I'd love to see rotate with Andrew Billings?
Absolutely. I would love that guy.
Because
Absolutely.
Andrew Billings is, let's go to pass rush. I want to show you this. Andrew Billings, as a nose tackle, is one of the best pass rushers in the league. I can admit that, and I like that. I think he's a great rotational guy. And if you're going to keep him as a rotational guy, maybe you want to go get a Puna Ford. Where's it at here? Pass rush for defensive interior. Watch where he ranks on this. Andrew Billings is one of the best. And if you pair him up with a Puna Ford, who's one of the best run defenders, and you have them rotating in, when certain sets are going to be run. When a team's going to run, when a pass, you can predict that with a certain amount of predictability. Get two good defensive ends in there, creating the pressure with those two guys up the middle with Gervon Dexter. I'm confident that could be really good. So here's Andrew Billings, 10th overall in pass rush grade. So there's his positive.
End of the day, man. Yeah, absolutely, I can. But I mean, end of the day here, again, the defense got worse once Andrew Billings went down.
Well, Karl,
very
you're making the same. So as Bears fans, we love to live in mediocrity. We love to accept mediocre players.
Now,
because
I didn't say that you can just leave the spot behind Andrew Billings void because he's going to play 100%, and he also has a bust in the Hall of Fame. I did not say that.
He shouldn't be the starter either. You're 89th ranked in run defense. You
Well,
should not be a starter.
Starter. If you're a big man who is not supposed to necessarily be like, his strength is not his endurance. It should be his strength, his technique, and if he only does that at 50% of the snaps on defense, that's why I said let's get a capable backup.
I'm good with rotating Poona Ford who matches him well. I would rather have someone who's an absolute dog, who's going to beef up. When's the last time we had a nose tackle that disrupted this game? Why are we as Bears fans okay with mediocre players? I agree with you.
Sounds like Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, even though that was a 3-4.
I agree with you that the defense went downhill when Andrew Billings was gone, but that's like saying, I mean, Andrew Billings was not playing starter quality, and then you're throwing in you're throwing in practice squad players to replace him. That's the problem. If we had a capable backup, we would have been fine. But Andrew Billings wasn't playing up to one of the best. Was he one of the best nose tackles in the league?
He definitely is at the top half.
Oh my God.
I would not say that there were 16 nose tackles that were clear cut better than Andrew Billings.
I would say there was 35 nose tackles better than Andrew Billings.
Clear cut better? I strongly disagree with you there.
I'm not saying he's not a great backup. We paid him $3 million a year for a reason. And when you pay someone $3 million, you clearly don't see them as starter quality. But he did a good job, and I agree. He got pressure in a time when we needed pressure bad. We were getting no pressure, and Andrew Billings was the only solution to that. He went down, and we got no pressure after that. You had Montez Sweat struggling more because Andrew Billings went down. But it's not because Andrew Billings was a top 30 nose tackle in the league. It's because behind Andrew Billings, there was Bubkus. Byron Cowart should not have been on a starting roster. He should have been on a practice squad.
I also disagree with that. He's fine. The issue at hand is Zach Pickens, in my opinion. But we don't have to get into the weeds on that.
Either. Jonathan Ford was literally a practice squad player that we brought to our roster. We were filling in with practice squad players. That's what we were doing.
Yeah, because of injury, whatever the case was, the neglect of the draft capital, the failure at Zach Pickens. Let's agree to disagree on that one, right? Okay. Let me remind you my ideal route for the Chicago Bears, right?
I'm going to remind real quick, guys. I have a tendency to get passionate. Some of you guys think I'm being rude. Karl understands we're good. Like, we can any of you in the chat, we can disagree on things, but I am very passionate about I appreciate Karl's perspective too. So anyways, go ahead, Karl.
Again, my ideal scenario for the draft for the Chicago Bears, right? As a Michigan bias, right? Let's come away in this draft with one of the big three from Michigan, right?
Ooh, I like where you're going.
Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, or honorary Michigan man, Walter Nolan.
He says honorary because Walter Nolan almost went to Michigan.
And God bless him and his family, yes. God's plan, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. Let's have Walter Nolan find his way back to my team again on the Chicago Bears.
Okay, so look how perfect this would work out if we did this. Let me pull this image file up. March. All right, so this is something I proposed on Twitter. Tell me what you think of this. I don't even know if you've seen this yet. What do you think about that?
Slam dunk. I would have done that trade yesterday. Would the Bengals have done that?
Yes.
Frick no.
Yes, they would. What do you think the value of Trey Hendrickson is?
They're going to start by asking for a 1, and they're not going to get it. It's probably going to end up being a high second after the first day of the draft.
No way are they getting a first for Trey Hendrickson. They're going to get.
That's why I said that's what they're going to start with.
Okay,
the problem here with Trey Hendrickson is the money that Max Crosby just got, $35 million average annual value. Trey Hendrickson is going to want at least $30 million. That's too much for that guy.
Too much for that guy?
Yeah, okay. I don't care about these sack numbers. He's not a guy that, in my opinion, stood out and is like a comparable trade to like a Myles Garrett or a Khalil Mack. He's a good player. He would be a very good addition to the Chicago Bears. And for just a slight trade down on each of those drafts, that's a slam dunk trade. I don't think that the Bengals do that.
I love you. So the value of that trade that I was proposing there is a second and a third. That is a second and a third of the value of that. That's more than they're. That's the top of this value that they're going to get. That's the top value.
I understand from 17 to 10, that's a pretty decent jump. But then the second round slide down, that's not too much.
So between
And
10
again,
and 17 would be a right in between a second and a third value. Between 41 and 49 would cap it up into be a second rounder. So you're given between those two pick swaps between 10 and 17. So those who are curious on the screen, what I'm proposing here is the Bears give 10 and 41 to the Bengals along with next year's third rounder. The Bengals would give us in return 17 and 49. So it's pick swaps this year.
Yeah.
And then a third. So those two pick swaps equate to a high value second rounder with the trade value of those, and then giving them a third rounder next year. And maybe we'll get Ian Cunningham's comp picks next year finally. Those things all combined are a second and a third. That was and look,
Adam,
Trey Hendrickson.
Adam, I would implore you to do a poll in the chat to ask people if they would accept that chat, because I want to be very clear when I say this. I would have done that trade on March 5th. I would have done that trade yesterday. That is a slam dunk. I don't think that the Bengals accept that.
You don't think the Bengals? Why don't you think the Bengals would?
It's just not enough.
They're not going to get more than that, Karl. And they're not.
You're going to see something funky. If he doesn't get traded by the first day of the draft, he's going to probably go the second day. And it's just going to be straight up for pick, 35. If I nail that on the head, God bless me, but it's going to be something like that, man. I just see it. The holdup is the money. Hendrickson, if Max Crosby's getting 35, and I know you were going to pull up those PFF stats, all those sacks that Hendrickson is getting,
right
Hendrickson's going to want at least $30 million a year. I
35.
think someone in the chat said 20. No, might not. He might start with 35. He'll settle around 30, in my opinion. Someone said 22 a year. Yeah, Laz. I'm sorry, Laz. No, that's not happening.
Maybe he's just being optimistic, but he's not going to be 30 million this year. And we're still on Caleb's rookie contract. And to have Montez Sweat and
you're proving my point
together.
I said you do the trade yesterday. I agree with you.
You're gonna cut Jonah Jackson next year. You're not gonna have that 17 million. We're not gonna pay him 17 million.
Yeah, it might be a cut. Do you want to come back for this rate type situation? He probably won't come back. And again, that's why it only cost us 6th.
There's no dead cap next year on Jonah Jackson 17. It's all clean. So there's no dead cap.
Unless Jonah Jackson makes the All-Pro team, I agree. He won't be back.
Sure. If he balls out, then we say, hey, that 17's a steal. We're going to keep him at 17. If not, I can see us cutting him and saying, hey, we want to bring you back at your age, for 3 years and 12 million a year, 15 million a year. Let's, meet us halfway here if you enjoyed being here and building what we're building. We have room, and the salary cap is going up every year, and we're going to restructure Tremaine Edmonds or cut him next year. He's a liability next year. There's options. It's not like just because he's going to be 30 million next year, that's going to kill us this year, because Trey Hendrickson isn't that expensive this year. I think he's 16 or 18 million. Let me hear him pull it up.
But he's not going to play on that rate, is what I'm trying to say. If you're trading for Trey Hendrickson and that he signs off on going to that team, the next holdup is the money. So that's the holdup in itself.
Long-term contract, but you don't
absolutely
have to eat that. You don't have to eat that this year. His contract right now is at 16 or 18. I'm trying to pull it up as we speak. But you can build that in to be the future of his contract is 30 million a year. Hey, we've made you happy. You're happy. Come play. Great. We'll give you a little bit of that in a signing bonus this year so you feel better. You're still making your 18. We're going to give you 12 extra million, but it's going to be allocated to future years. Happy birthday, Trey Hendrickson. Right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that Henderson's going to be looking at least 30 million average annual value. It's probably going to start in 2025, man. That's just
Would
how
you
I see
rather
it.
have Trey Hendrickson or Drew Dahlman?
Considering that
we need both.
Considering that I don't want the Bears to overdraft a project center, again, I don't see an icon. I don't see Creed Humphrey in this draft. I accept that Jared Wilson is probably a very good player and will end up being very good. Gray Zabel, maybe he fools both of us. We both know, Adam, that I feel that Gray Zabel should be a day 3 pick. I'm sorry, earliest 5th round. He'll go in the first probably, and maybe he'll be an iconic center as well. I want the consistency of that position for a long time. I want the surefire thing. I'd rather have Drew Dahlman.
I understand the take there too. Drew Dahlman's got experience. I get all that. I think there's value in taking a rookie center and developing him with Caleb. There's other,
And we
needs
will have 4 years to do that if we have a solidified center in place in Drew Dalman. That's the idea here.
What
you
if we?
have, go ahead.
What if we have a what's his name from last year that went to Tennessee from Denver? The center.
Oh, not Bradbury, Cushenberry.
Lloyd Cushenberry, is that who it was? Yeah.
I think so.
What if you have a
I'm not
Cushenberry
interested in him.
situation with Dahlman and he doesn't fix his pass pro, and then he has a career worst year because he switched systems and it didn't work out for him? Then are
Well,
you?
that's why I asked you the original question. Is I think that you have to kind of conform and make sure that you're running your zone blocking scheme and making sure that it starts there, because that you have to put your players that you put the most amount of money into the best position to succeed. That's why I feel like Joe Thuney is your left guard. Jonah Jackson, while he could be your center, sounds like he is a better guard than the center, so he's probably going to play right guard. Why are they keeping Ryan Bates? Ask polls.
I don't see that one. Where's that? Oh, why are they keeping Ryan Bates? We're not stuck on keeping Ryan Bates. I think it's just the depth issue. Let me go to the offensive line for now. So there's Ryan Bates. We still have a severe need. I think a lot of people are overlooking this. It's something I showed you guys on the salary cap a minute ago. We can go back to that. We still need right there 4 guys on the offensive line, and we still need 4 guys on the defensive line. So there's a severe need for both of these. So there's the 4 on the defensive line. There's the 4 on the offensive line. We still need all. That's not the offensive line. Let's go back. So we still need all of those needs met until we have a replacement for Ryan Bates. I don't see them cutting him. So we have a $500,000 that kicks in on the 12th for him. That's a bonus. So he'll get $500,000. To have the security of having him, to Ryan Poles probably feels, I'll waste that $500,000. It sounds ridiculous to us who, work a couple years to 5 years to make $500,000, but for the Bears, Ryan Bates, that $500,000 bonus, well, we'll pay him that because we can still cut the other $3.5 million after the 12th. Anytime up until the beginning of the season, we can cut him and still save $3.5 million later. So $4 million right now. If we cut him before the 12th, $4 million dead cap, or $4 million gone, no dead cap whatsoever, 0 dead cap. If we cut him after the 12th, before the season starts, $500,000 goes to him as a roster bonus for him being on the roster the day the league year changes. So,
give me your honest reaction to if Ryan Bates was the starting center of the Chicago Bears in 2025.
no, that's not. There's
honest reaction. No. I'm saying let's say it did happen. What is your immediate honest reaction? Are you finding a new team to root for?
No, but I'm throwing things at the wall.
Okay.
It's not happening.
Would you record that? Would you record it and send it to me?
Sure, no problem. All
right, I'm gonna hold you to it. We got it recorded. I'm gonna hold you to that.
This happened last year with this fan base when we traded for Ryan Bates, and I think you were on the Ryan Bates side.
Chat. He's throwing me over the coals.
I am.
And then
Don't
and then
kill the messenger, Adam.
And then we signed Coleman Shelton. I told you, Coleman Shelton is the starting center of this team. Ryan Bates was picked because he has versatility. We traded for him for a late round pick. It wasn't the same as trading for Jonah Jackson. It was not a good trade. It was a bad trade. Whatever. I was not on that Ryan Bates bandwagon. Well, lo and behold, I look smart now, but I just didn't see it. There's no way Ryan Bates has any shot of being even the backup.
Never say never. Never say never, Adam. Never say never.
Never. I will promise you.
JC1, you're misusing the term gaslighting. Gaslighting would be lying. I'm not telling Adam that I have insider information that he will. I just want to know Adam's honest reaction, because when we look at this in a couple months' time, and Ryan Bates is the starting center, and 4 weeks into the season he's the best according to PFF, I need to see Adam's genuine reaction to that.
I like this. Romy, who's actually on your stream, Romy just cut bait. I like it.
Cut bait with Bates. I'm sure he would love to hear that. I don't think the story's done on him, but as a starter, no thanks.
I would make you a bet that Ryan Bates does not see a single snap.
Oh, we already have 2 pending 5-figure bets. I'm not doing any more of those with
at
you.
Center this year. I wouldn't be shocked if he filled in an emergency at right guard or left guard if people got injured.
Ryan Bates?
I just no shot he would ever touch. They would play Ricky Stromberg at center before they let Ryan Bates play center.
What if Ryan Bates and Christian McCaffrey hung out in Germany and got the old stem cells? What are we doing there if he's just absolutely juiced up, healthy, ready to go?
Great. I'm glad he's a backup for $4 million. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I don't mind Ryan Bates. The problem is the same thing people were throwing Tevin Jenkins over the coals for. It's if you've got that shoulder injury and you were considering retiring because of it, you're a wasted $4 million on this roster. There's no spot for you on this roster.
Sometimes your value doesn't come from a PFF grade, Adam. It comes from your veteran leadership, your ability to help, teach these young guys. And God knows we need to bring in young offensive linemen to help develop. That's why I'm so excited about Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson. These guys are established NFL guys.
Let's just take that, but Super Bowl, Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Joe Thuney has played in like 6 of the last 7 Super Bowls, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, he already has a bust in the Hall of Fame waiting for him. You can see my camera shaking. Like, that's how serious this is.
What was it that I saw?
He won 2 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, won 2 Super Bowls with Pat Mahomes. Now he needs to complete the trifecta and win at least 2 Super Bowls with Caleb Williams, right?
Oh, they'll write stories about him, whatever you want to say, if he wins a Super Bowl in Chicago. Oh, my God.
So Prometheus says you give Bates one more shot and hope he produces. And this
is his shot. Yeah.
That's got to be the MO of Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles traded a pick for him. Ryan Poles is in on it. It's not that Ryan Bates was absolutely terrible. It's Ryan Bates was never available at all. So it's $4 million. It's not you're not scraping the bottom of the barrel for him. You're keeping him right there. Now, if we fill things in and Bill Murray becomes an all-pro for some reason, he ends up being here. Let's hurry and pull this up. If Bill Murray does this,
that is just it's destiny. If Bill Murray is a good, impactful player for the Chicago Bears, that would be just draft mate who got he has a similar archetype, same draft round, same movement from left tackle to guard. I think that Tevin Jenkins is a bit prissy in that sense. He knew he was going to be getting some money, and that's why he said, "Oh, my calf hurts. I don't want to go out and play for the Chicago Bears against their arch rival in Green Bay. The game means nothing. Blah blah blah." Bill Murray's the exact opposite. He's hungry.
We don't need soft on this team. We need tough.
Absolutely not. Correct.
Yeah. What do you think about this question here by Cliff Victoria, who I know is great on every Bears chat? You guys think Bears knew Thuney would be available when they traded for Jonah?
Well, it started by talking to the Chiefs about Trey Smith. Trey Smith was franchise tagged, the non-exclusive franchise tender, and they said, "Hey, buddy, we would love to trade for this all-world blue-chip prospect. I don't care if it's going to cost some draft compensation." The Chiefs, very surprisingly to me, said, "He's not available, man, but we got to do something. What do you think about Joe Thuney?" And I know that if it wasn't for Ryan Poles, I doubt the Bears ever have a sniff at that. But that's how that shook down, in my opinion.
Aldo, this is Aldo Gandia. This is exactly the thought I had, and you wrote it out there. So these things don't
absolutely,
just happen. They don't happen overnight. They don't. Well, we got Jonah Jackson. Oops, we didn't know Thuney would be available. These things happen by GMs getting together, rubbing shoulders.
You essentially have all of the owners, all the NFL minds together in one spot. Something's bound to happen, man.
Yeah. Okay, Karl, I didn't even realize we're past an hour already. You're going to have BCP here in 45 minutes. I got to go through this real quick, though, with you. We got free agency Monday. I am going to be live for free agency. Karl, if you want to come pop on a little bit on there, you're more than welcome to. And come discuss
what day? Monday?
Monday. I'm gonna go live right at 4:00 Eastern, right before 4:00 Eastern, as things happen. It's just gonna be a very loose, relaxed. I'm gonna be scrolling Twitter when things announce. I'm gonna be, and then we'll have live reaction and things that happen. We'll go through it. So if you want to pop on for part of that, it's fine. I'm going to go just as long as, the first big Bears breaking news thing happens.
There's a chance we're the 2-time heavyweight champion, so to speak. We are the team that has signed the first free agent the last 2 years. This past year it was DeAndre Swift.
I thought there was one that was announced before Swift. It was ours was right off the bat, though.
No, Swift was the first one. I'm almost certain of that, but I'm unsure of the player who was before that. Could have been that was not the guard, was it? Or was it like Tremaine Edmonds?
Dude, you're asking for like deep memory stuff here.
Just the 2023 offseason, just a couple years ago. I think it was a linebacker. It was probably TJ Edwards. That's who it was. My co-host Smi, Nick. He knew exactly who it was. I'm certain it was TJ Edwards.
All right, so I got to roll through this real quick. We're going to go through each positional group before we get done here. Karl, we have free agency Monday. Do you think we'll approach this? We have 16 more roster spots to fill.
I'm going to ask you, do you think we hit it in the draft or free agency? And if you think it's free agency, I want to know who you think the favorite to land that is. So first off, quarterbacks and running backs. Nothing's happening with our quarterback room. It's set. Caleb, Tyson Bagent this year. Austin Reed. We could pick up another undrafted free agent like we did with Austin Reed after the draft is over. I don't see us doing anything with quarterback. There was rumors that maybe we would bring a vet in to work with Caleb, but he doesn't need that. He's got Ben Johnson. He's got this all-star studded cast of coaches. We're fine there, right? You agree?
As far as what position? I'm sorry? Quarterback? I think they have to do something to bring in a veteran. Will they? I don't know. But I do genuinely think that they should bring in a veteran. If they walk into 2025 with that room of Caleb Williams starting, his backup being Tyson Bagent, and Austin Reed being your third string on the practice squad, it is what it is. But I would love to see them bring in a veteran somehow, some way.
Agree to disagree on that one. We'll go to running backs. Do you think we're going to hit running back in free agency or in the draft?
If Ben Johnson thinks that Ian Wheeler's knee is better than before the injury and he could be your RB1, I wouldn't be disappointed, so to speak, with bringing in Najee Harris like for less than $1 million a year. But you can sense I'm being silly here, right? I would be stunned. I would be flabbergasted if the Bears didn't draft a running back in this draft. I would be disappointed if it wasn't in if it wasn't in the second day of the draft.
Round 2 or 3 is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm clamoring for them to get their hands on Omarion Hampton. It will not happen. I'm hoping that they take the scraps from whoever the Raiders don't select out of Ohio State in the second round. Call it a day there. But they have to draft a running back in this fabulous running back draft.
To me, the line is so much more important, the offense and defensive line. I don't even care if that running back comes in day 3. I don't. There's so many good options.
I'm at the point where I understand it, and it would be okay. And it is upsetting it may be for some. I do think that you can draft a running back on day 3 of the 2025 NFL draft that is better than DeAndre Swift. I think you can do it.
Bashul Tutton just ran a 4.32 and opened everyone's eyes. He's someone that I hyped up early on in my mock drafts. He's got contact balance like crazy. He hits holes. I mean, he's probably going to go day 2 now. Bashul Tutton is. You've got DJ Giddens, you got RJ Harvey, you got Devin Neal. All those guys are fringe right there. You can get a quality. I mean, there's so many in this draft. You can get a quality running back. I'm not saying we have to go later. I'm just saying there's so many needs on this team. And just because we have 2 guards now doesn't mean it takes away from the fact that we need a center, a backup guard, a backup tackle, tackle, a defensive end, a defensive tackle, a backup 3 tech. Because as you said, Zach Pickens is not cutting the mustard. Sorry, we need a backup 3 tech behind Jervon Dexter.
It's not that I wouldn't be surprised if they cut Zach Pickens. I want them to cut Zach Pickens. His time is up.
Yeah, I agree. So there's tons of options there. So I wouldn't. You've seen Ben Johnson make some moves. Roschon Johnson's spot is not necessarily safe on this team either. I know
as a fullback, I do think Rojo's position on this team is set in stone. But if he's your second running back, if he's the guy who you want to be the knuckles to the Sonic of DeAndre Swift, I would be devastated.
You know that guy right there in the middle, our new tight end, our tight end 3, actually lines up in Wildcat and does a lot of QB sneaks, a lot of the push. He's done a lot of that in his career.
Yeah. A bit off topic, but the best thing that the Green Bay Packers organization ever did was argue to have the tush push abolished, which I agree with.
So stupid. Do you agree with abolishing the tush push?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
hey, I'm gonna piggyback off of the guy that I saw on Fox Sports. I can't think of his name. I think it's Mark Schlereth, right? He capped it off and had the strongest argument I ever saw, and I'm stealing it right from his mouth. Okay. Did you know, and this was big controversy when the Packers blocked the field goal against the Bears to steal another win at home for Caleb Williams, right? It's illegal to throw a defensive player into the line through to try and block.
Yeah,
it's illegal. So why can the offense do it?
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a bad throw. I don't agree with the tush push.
Anyways, so here we are on the offensive line. So we've talked about center. We've talked about that. For the backups, do you think we should go get vets or do you think we should draft? We've got these solid guys on the front of our line now.
these backup spots, left guard, center, right tackle, or swing tackle, do you think we should be drafting all three of those in the draft or getting some vets as well?
So, again, ideally, Drew Dahlman at center. I think that he would be the perfect piece here. If they were to bring back Coleman Shelton as the backup center, I really wouldn't be upset. I pitched the idea of Coleman Shelton being your starting center next to Trey Smith. Now we can go a bit more economical and spread the wealth, which everyone wanted originally, so great for you guys. Again, the way that it's being attacked, this group, the offensive line, I'm not going to be surprised if the Bears take a left tackle or a tackle altogether at 10th overall, man. Karan could be your backup guard to Joe Thuney. And I could see Josh Simmons being your backup left tackle and redshirting this year. I really wouldn't be surprised.
So there can be some guys that get moved around, but you're in favor of taking more rookies for the backups to develop them and a vet as the centers.
Yeah. Again, Joe Thuney here for a good time, not a long time. I think it's a requirement to get some sort of young prospect who has a lot of promise. You don't think Joe Thuney's
here for a long time?
3-4 years.
Okay, and that's to me that's a long time. You're extending him.
No,
so
yeah,
but you're not just talking about 1 year.
But Darnell Wright, if everything goes to God's plan, Darnell Wright will be your starting right tackle in the 2030s. Like he will be
Darnell
here
Wright,
for a long time.
He should be a staple for the Bears forever. He should retire.
Joe Thuney will not. Again, if he gets his
one
Super Bowl on the Bears in the before he retires in the next 3-4 years, then talk about a gold. It'll be the first NFL bust in the Hall of Fame made out of pure gold.
So, Aldo, I got to hit that real quick. They did come out with the data for the tush push. It is the least injured play.
There's no injury. Yep.
In history of the NFL. It is the least injured
and
ever.
Let me tush push back on that, Adam. That was the most embarrassing display of sports I've ever saw when Frankie Louvu consistently jumped over the line and the official in that NFC Championship game had to come out.
We learned a new rule there.
He had to say, if it keeps happening, we're going to give him the touchdown. Like that was such an embarrassment. Just get rid of the darn play.
So did you know that's actually happened in history before? That
I'm sure it has. Foster probably knew about that.
So I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if you saw this, but it was against the Bears. So, or maybe the Bears were. I don't know if I got it. No, the Bears weren't the criminal team. We can't say that. So it was actually on a breakaway play to the outside. I think it was a run play. It might have been a pass play where he caught it and he broke away. So it was a clear path, going to be a touchdown. And a player off the bench on the opposing team came onto the field and tackled him. I think it was against the Bears. I'm not positive. Anyways, so they tackled him. The refs came on and said, we're awarding a touchdown because the player off the bench came out. So that's the first time in history that the refs have awarded a touchdown that wasn't an actual touchdown because the player came off the bench and tackled the player that had a clear path touchdown. That's crazy to me.
It is.
So, anyways, let's put this back on here. Let's get through this. Sorry, Karl. Am I leaving you enough time here? We're going to cruise through this real quick.
You're good. You're good.
We got you, buddy. So, starter, for center, the other three positions you want to draft. I'm in favor with that. I actually like it a lot. I wouldn't mind if we took a vet somewhere out of those three, but I'd rather have I'd like us to develop. I want to see us take rookies and develop them and be able to work through them. So,
yes.
Okay, next positional group. We got wide receivers, tight ends. You see Durham Smythe is there, tight end 3. I don't know how anybody complained about that on Twitter today. They find a reason to complain about everything.
Correct. That's correct.
No way to complain about Durham Smythe. I had proposed Luke Farrell from Jaguars, very similar to player, but about like Durham Smythe, and then Durham Smythe got cut, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Durham Smythe, great pickup by the Bears. I actually love it. If you didn't see earlier, he was actually teammates with Cole Kmet on Notre Dame for one season. I put that on my other video earlier.
Excellent.
Which is really cool. He replaced Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe was the starter. They overlapped a year. Cole Kmet took over when he left.
And was Ben Johnson not the tight end coach in Miami for Durham Smythe as well?
He was. It was the last year he was there in Miami when they.
It's not about what you know; it's who you know. Yep.
So we got 2 wide receiver spots and a tight end 2 spot. What are your thoughts here, vets?
Now I agree here. It's very important for the Bears to add speed to this group. I just don't want them to overpay. Like we saw Tutu Atwell get $10 million. I would hate for the Bears to invest $10 million into the wide receiver 3 again. So I don't want Keenan Allen to come back.
For this comment here, we don't have enough draft picks to fill both lines now. This draft is best for D-line. I'm going to remind everybody and now we don't want the late round picks. I get that. But Ryan Poles has made draft picks multiply in the drafts that he's been a part of. And if he really wants to acquire extra capital, he can trade down from 10 to 18 and get 18 and 50 and even a 6th round pick kicked into that. In fact, I'm doing a mock draft right now where I just want to show he can duplicate some draft picks. And then if he wants to, we just picked at 39. If he wants to duplicate at 41, he can trade down to 49 and pick up a 4th rounder, as well as dropping down in the 2nd round and pick up a 4th rounder as well. So he can generate some more draft picks. That is a possibility. So don't limit it to the 7 we have. He does some magical things. Anyways, go ahead, Karl.
While we're talking about that as well, there's also a clear tendency of Ryan Poles to bring in a position of rookies that are a tandem. You saw Brisker and Gordon come in as defensive backs together. You saw Pickens and Dexter come in together as defensive tackles. So that is something that's in cards and a tendency I've noticed of Ryan Poles
but I
as
think
well.
that's more out of need than anything. I don't think we have
Right.
double
So
need,
we're going to
really.
talk about it. I anticipate the Bears drafting 2 defensive linemen. Anyway.
That could happen for two different defensive linemen, or anyway,
Yeah, tackle, guard, edge, whatever you want to say.
nose tackle, 3 tech. I can see that for sure.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely. So, topic at hand: wide receiver 3. I have not came off of this. I still don't want to. I think Josh Palmer, a veteran wide receiver 3, a possession guy that isn't Keenan Allen, who costs pennies on the dollars. That's what I'm looking for. And I think you need to add another project wide receiver in the draft later on. I love Pat Bryant out of Illinois. I think he'd be a fantastic, pick on day 3. So that's where I'm going. And then Cliff Victoria mentioned it over in my chat. The tight end class is special as well. I don't want the Bears to do something stupid and draft Tyler Warren, draft Colson Loveland at 10th overall, but I think that you can add your tight end 2 in the draft as well.
Yeah, and I think trading down only helps that more if you can pick up an extra 2nd or a 3rd, because the Bears did meet. It wasn't originally. I haven't seen anybody report on it since then because it kind of came out later. But the Bears did meet with Mason Taylor at the combine at an official visit. So that was one of their 60
I wonder
visits.
if Joy Taylor was there. Aldo, shout out to you, Aldo.
So they did meet with Mason Taylor. They are looking at tight ends, obviously, because they met with several tight ends, including Tyler Warren. They met with Tyler Warren. I think they're just leaving options open, just like they met with
Why not?
Ashton Genty. Why not?
Meet with, these players will never draft, but still just meet with them to drive their.
Hey, you're in
value.
hot water there. I thought you were going to cool it on that.
I'm not in hot water. I'm firm on it. I am 100 firm on that stance. I am not coming off that stance whatsoever. You don't like my take? Fine, disagree with me, but there is anyways.
To the same breath of you throwing stuff at the wall, if the starting center of the Bears in 2025 is Ryan Bates, I need to see the draft reaction to Ashton Genty at 10th.
We won't draft him, so don't worry about it. If we drafted Tyler Warren, it would be a similar. I actually like Tyler Warren over Ashton.
You should check your blood. Did you get your blood pressure checked? We got to make sure you're healthy and ready for this draft, man.
I'm just fine.
Thank God.
Chubby. Just a little chubby.
Don't need
Working on
Adam
that,
Mason
too.
going belly up because of an Ashton Genty draft pick.
So you're wanting to take a vet wide receiver. You like Josh Palmer. I kind of like that too. I also like Rondell Moore, even though there's the injury history.
It's fine.
So a lot of people worry about. Hey, Shorty joined the chat. What's up, man? Bear the F down, buddy. We're coming over to you in a half hour, Shorty. Well, I am. Karl will be there.
We're the fluffers. We're currently fluffing for BCP right now. So
fluffing. Okay, so tight end, we're in congruence that we've already picked up tight end 3 in free agency. We're probably going to go in the draft for tight end 2, most likely.
I would like that, yes. Now, there's some cap casualties we're seeing. Not that I necessarily want this player, but Evan Ingram was just released, so you might be able to get a really quality player at tight end 2 due to just cap casualties.
Well,
but
there's other tight ends available too, but that tight end 2 is going to be an expensive position to fill. It's going to be kind of costly.
So again,
we're going to cruise along because we got you to get to your other show. All right. Defensive end, starter, nose tackle, whether you say he's a starter or backup to Andrew Billings, whatever. We need a nose tackle. 3 tech backup, defensive end backup. Where are you going with all of these? Draft, vets, what do you think?
Yeah, so again, I'm not coming off of this. I said even before the start of last year's draft that the 2025 draft class, the Chicago Bears with their first 3 picks 10, 39, and 41, or whatever the combination of them, 2 of them are going to be trenches. Whether it's 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, or a combination, I think somehow, some way, you essentially draft a starter this year in the draft. Now, I don't know. I've been praying. I will continue to pray. I will continue to pray. This guy right here, get your grubby hands on him. I'll be very, very happy. But if they can't get it,
rumors of that, man. There's rumors.
Yeah, I know. Everyone thinks they're the smartest guy in the world, just like you, Adam, with your spreadsheets and your measurements, because we all know great football players are found with a measuring tape and a scale, right? No. Mason Graham, I don't care about his 32-inch arms. He's essentially an Aaron Donald clone. And thankfully for us, history does repeat itself, right? So if you're going to have a Hall of Famer fall in the draft, hopefully this time the Bears are able to draft him and not have him selected right, one pick before you.
Got to move that. All right, so here's my post I had about Walter Nolan and Mason Graham. Mason Graham's stock is falling because these measurables. Look at Mason Graham, 6'3", slightly shorter than Walter Nolan. Same exact weight now. Mason Graham was apparently 320 before.
Yeah, the problem here is that he was doing a lot of conditioning, whatever you want to say. Again, that weight doesn't matter. I had a fun tweet that a lot of people liked, whether he was 325, 295, or 205. I don't care.
Well, here's the thing that I'm getting at with this. I've said all offseason how special Walter Nolan is. That he is Mason Graham. He's mini Mason Graham is what I call it.
Correct.
He's just a smaller version of Mason Graham.
Correct.
Well, if they're the exact same size and either one of these guys is sitting there and they play the exact same way, I'm good with either one of them. So I would love, and you look at this is their PFF stats. I pulled them up for that.
Sure.
And there's Mason Graham, and they're very similar. Probably a better run defender in Mason Graham, but a little bit better at getting pressure in Walter Nolan. But they're 1A and 1B to me. If either of them there, if Mason Graham falls, great. Sorry, pick up Mason Graham. I don't see it happening still. It's just people say it could happen because the measurables came out that way.
Well, why are we trying to be the smartest guy in the room? Let's trade up. I'm okay with it. You don't have to. As much as I would be okay.
All these positions we got to fill, and now you want to waste draft capital trading up?
Yeah, I'd be okay with going to 101 to get Mason Graham. It won't happen, and it'd be rude. But in a realistic scenario, if you can go up to 9, if you can go up to 8, go up to 7, yeah. Maybe
for defensive end, I would do that for one.
But that's where you get realistic, and it would cost too much.
All right,
I'm serious. If you can trade up a little tiny bit to get Mason Graham, you got to do it. It won't happen. Hopefully Mason Graham is a top 5. Hopefully he's the first pick in the draft because he deserves to be. He's that damn good.
All right, I'm going to put a poll out real quick. We're going to do this one fast while we finish our positions. All right, so nose tackle, defensive end, 3-tech, other defensive end backup. Which ones do you want in free agency? Since we have free agency hitting in 4 days here, which ones do you want in free agency? Which ones do you want in the draft?
Again, it doesn't matter to me. There's going to be a combination. I think that you have to spend some serious assets. One of these top 3 picks, if they are on a starter on your defensive line, I'm very much okay with that. Whether that is interior, edge, I don't know, a James Pierce at 10, a Michael Williams, sure, I'm fine with it. I really don't care. If you can get your hands on Drew Dahlman, it depends on how much money is left, right? So if we are talking about Josh Sweat, I would love Josh Sweat to be your other end against, along with Montez Sweat. I'm sorry, you dubbed Sweat squared. That'd be fantastic.
We gotta be hitting something in free agency though.
Correct. And you're gonna have the money to be able to do it. And ideally, you get an extension for Joe Thuney, and Joe Thuney you're able to restructure and generate even more cap space. Again, we're not. Some people are saying the Bears are in win now mode. I disagree. It's not necessarily win now mode, but you have the ability to frame it that way with these contracts now.
Okay. Last 2.
We're gonna go here. Linebacker. Do you think we hit this in the draft, or we pick up another vet?
A Sam linebacker in the draft, I feel like there's not going to be too many options, and I feel like it'd be a wasted asset. I mean, your linebacking core is okay.
You could draft the Mike and move Tremaine Edmonds over to Sam. I mean, you could do that if you're not.
No, you are not drafting a rookie and having Tremaine Edmonds, rotate in, right? Because I think it's gonna be more of the same. You're not going to see your third linebacker on the Chicago Bears play 75% of the snaps because your third linebacker on your roster is right there on the screen, Kyler Gordon. He's your nickel. He's going to be playing the majority of the time.
75%.
You do not need to invest a serious asset into another linebacker. Get yourself a project at the end of the draft with high upside, a lot more upside than silly Noah Sewell. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Let's get some UNLV kids in there. I'm totally fine by that, man. But at the end of the day, you're probably just going to get another a free agent acquisition that's going to end up being cheaper than Jack Sanborn. That's why you haven't brought Jack Sanborn back. It's really unfortunate because in that role, Jack Sanborn was perfect, man. But props to him. I actually like Jack Sanborn. I'm not upset that
Everyone
he's leaving.
likes Jack Sanborn.
I'm happy that he's going to get an opportunity, and I hope he does fantastic.
He
just
should
not for the Packers. Just not for the Packers, please.
He should be getting an opportunity over Tremaine Edmonds, honestly. He should be getting a shot to actually
He should have already, but it didn't work out that way, and you're paying Tremaine Edmonds the money. And hell, this is a new defensive coordinator. Maybe you'll be able to get the best out of Tremaine Edmonds. Then we'll all be happy and talking about re-signing him.
Jedi Jada has been listening to me.
People need to listen. Nick Emenwari.
Wari needs to be a Bear somehow, some way.
I don't care how. I don't
What?
care.
I know he's a safety, but after that combine, are you saying he could be a Mike linebacker?
Dude, I've been saying for months.
You haven't been watching my channel. I'm discouraged by you that you don't watch all my episodes. I'm upset. I'm just teasing. Nick Emenwari is big enough to play linebacker, fast. I mean, he's basically Superman.
But
He
it
can play
wouldn't be a
every
smart
position.
thing to do that.
Why not?
Because if he could literally be better than Derwin James. Derwin James is an all-pro.
Sure, let's rotate him around whatever set we're in. Just keep Nick Emenwari.
I'm gonna do a little bit of film watching, I guess, on the.
You're not gonna like this. I would start Nick Emenwari over Kyler Gordon, over
Sure.
anybody in the secondary here. We'll get to the secondary, over Kevin Byard, over Jaquan Brisker, over
Not Jalen Johnson as a corner.
not Jalen Johnson, but maybe
Now let me
over-
ask you this: is your comments regarding Kyler Gordon saying that you'd have Wari be that Joker slot guy and have Kyler Gordon play on the outside?
He could do anything. I'm just saying Nick Emenwari is
But
that special
but
dude.
paired with Kyler Gordon, would you kick Kyler Gordon outside then?
Oh, you got to have Kyler Gordon on the field somewhere, maybe over Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith.
Because
You gotta have him on
it
the
sounds like Nick Wari is not going to be available at 39. So are you making the
field.
case for
I'm
him
saying
at
we can
10?
trade back into the first. I've said that before. Like I'm okay with us
Back
trading
into?
back into the first round at the end of the first round. I'd be happy with that.
I don't know about that. I'd rather just trade up for Mason Graham.
All right, last.
I love you, Carl. Then we're getting out of here. Last position, we need a backup cornerback. I thought we would tender Jalen Jones in restricted free agency, but that's $3.26 million. So maybe they won't do that. They'll let him hit. They'll let him hit. free
Fat
agency.
lady hasn't sung yet, Adam. Jalen Jones might come back, but I doubt it.
He might.
And then we do need some help at safety. This is not a critical one. That's why I put it to the side.
We have 4 guys as our strong safety.
Free safety, depending on how Jaquan Brisker comes back, we could use some help. I can see us going undrafted free agent route to bring some of these guys in. We did take future reserve Alex Cook. There's options there, but what do you think for our backup cornerback draft?
We tend to like those.
cornerbacks
It'd
in
be
the draft.
smart because what I'm looking at with this room, especially now that we've brought back the King, Josh Blackwell, there's no one who has like that thumbprint from Dennis Allen. So Dennis Allen should bring in someone in the draft, 7th round pick, just like what the Bears did with Elijah Hicks, right? You've got a bit of egg on your face regarding Elijah Hicks. I told you he'd be fine. You said, nope, PFF says he sucks.
You're right.
He was fine.
I gotta take
He
my
was-
lickings on that one.
He was developed, right? So let's have Dennis Allen do that. I'm totally okay with a day 3 pick on a high quality, high potential rather, like project car essentially here in the draft.
And he had a great year, Elijah Hicks did. So real quick, I'm just gonna recap with this, show you guys one more time where we stand with pull up, you son of a gun, with this. Okay, so here is the salary cap, and you see all the empty spots. So we went through positions. It's just going to be easier to toggle here. We need a running back, we need 2 wide receivers, we need a tight end, we need a center, we need backup center, guard, swing tackle, basically another, whether we move Karan Amagaji to guard, we need something. So it might be a tackle, might be a utility spot there. So we need 4 offensive linemen. We need a starting defensive tackle at nose tackle. We need a starting defensive end, a backup 3 tech, a backup defensive end, and we need a linebacker, and we need another cornerback. So
There was a number that you had essentially with all the positions that we had to fill versus the cap space that was available. You said that magic number was what? Was it $6 million a starter?
Well, not anymore. Now we're down to we need 16 more positions. Well, minus the 7 for rookies. So 9 positions at 41 million apiece. That's 4 million per.
because we've
Right.
taken
So it's gone down. But again,
because the law
I
averages.
still think that your starting guards that you've acquired is you're saving money.
Sure, because of their value, but you have less to spend. We have 41 million.
You're going to have a buffer there. So take 8. So say we have
Between 30 and 35 million to spend between 9 to 10 guys. That's 3 million per contract.
some
So
of these will be cheap. Long snapper will be
Essentially,
cheap.
if you sign Drew Dahlman, your starting offensive line is set. If you draft a defensive lineman, you could say your defensive line is set. Now you're just talking about backups. 4 million a backup. That seems very plausible. I think that Ryan Poles has done a great job up to this point.
realistically, Carl, we got 4 picks in the top 72. Those 4 picks would be potential starters, but
Right.
even then, they don't always pan. I mean, you can't bank on all these draft picks.
Exactly. That's why you've essentially brought me into the light. We cannot go into the draft with having a glaring need at a position, because then you're not going to draft well. You need to just go best pick available, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Karl, you rock. I'm going to put this back up there. More to come, guys. This episode for me kind of flew by. When I looked up and
Same.
saw 1 hour and 10 minutes had flown by, I thought we were like a half hour, so I had to hurry through the rest of there. But I'm glad we got through it. I like to see your opinion of where we take free agents coming in Monday or in the draft, and I mostly align with your stuff. We'll do a recap video next week and see where we hit in free agency. It won't all be done by next week. Next week is just the beginning of free agency. You'll see the major splashes, the big moves that we make. Sorry, Karl.
No worries.
I appreciate you coming on, guys. I'm going to link once this is over. If you want to look in the description, as soon as we're over, I'm going to put Karl's Thy Smi in the description of the video. I'm going to put Bears Country Podcast in the description. I'm going to grab something to eat, and then I'm literally going to hop over and watch Bears Country Podcast because I love watching them. It's entertaining.
We're on the
for
same
me.
timeline there. Yep.
So check it out, guys. Please look at the description. I appreciate all of you guys being here for this crazy madness Karl and I have started. 11 episodes leading up to the draft. This was episode 5, and it's been a lot of fun for me. Karl, thank you for coming on. Anything you want to say? I appreciate you being here.
No, just thank you so much for having me on. I say it each and every time, but I can't say it enough. I cannot express how much I appreciate the time that your chat members, everyone. Now it's on the Thy Smi channel as well. We're simulcasting, right? So thank you so much, guys, for the time that you share with us. Greatly appreciated. Can never say thank you enough. So.
Appreciate
And if
that.
for whatever weird reason, if you're watching on the Thy Smi channel and you're not aware of who Adam Mason is, his links are in the description as well.
Yeah, link it up. Appreciate you. All right, we'll get you out of here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, we're going to end this thing awkwardly like we have been. It's just going to all of a sudden cut off